I'm Willie Thomas, and I'm here again with another YouTube mini lesson that makes understanding and using diminished jazz vocabulary easy. I was just playing an old standard called What Is This Thing Called Love? And if you were listening carefully, the statements you saw on the screen described the vocabulary you just heard me playing. It's impossible to sound good on tunes like this without using diminished jazz vocabulary. So let's get started with a few important facts about this special vocabulary. First of all, it's created with 3 diminished scales that are a series of whole steps connected by chromatic half steps. I like to think of each diminished scale as a ladder that connects the tonalities of 4 dominant 7th chords that move up and down the ladder, creating the symmetric patterns used by all of the great jazz masters. Now that we have identified some important facts about the diminished jazz vocabulary, let's see what the challenges are in putting it to work. The first challenge is getting the diminished scales under your fingers. The second is hearing where the diminished patterns start. And of course, the third is using them carefully in your improvisation. All right, so how do we meet these challenges? Well, time in the shed is the only way to deal with the first challenge, which is getting these things under your fingers. And you can start handling the second challenge by using the pentatonic pair setups on the flat 7th of a dominant 7th chord. These flat 7 setups help you keep your place in the diminished ladder, and it also helps you find important starting notes for the many traditional jazz patterns you'll need to learn and play. Now, playing off the flat 7 setup is a jazz language concept developed in lesson 6 of my JazzEveryone online lessons. You might want to check those out. Let's see how this works with the flat 7 setup on the first step of the diminished ladder around the dominant circle. Now I'm going to use the flat 7 setup on the second step of the diminished ladder. This will help me find a good place to start my patterns for the altered 2-5-1 in a minor key. Starting these setups on step 1 of the diminished ladder and playing them up to step 2 on the ladder will help develop a relationship with these diminished sounds. Eventually, you'll be able to start these patterns anywhere you want to. I'll play a few of these now, and you can see how they sound.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When jazz vocabulary patterns are formed on the third step of the diminished ladder, it creates the sound of the tritone substitute. These patterns sound great even if the background chords are not altered. I'm going to start again on step 1 of the ladder and play up to step 3 to help you hear the different relationships created on each step. It will probably take you a while before you really grasp the sound of the tritone substitute, especially when it's used with a plain dominant 7th chord. All right, let's take a listen. up or down on the diminished ladder, you are well positioned to access the symmetric, diminished vocabulary patterns that you often hear played through the changes of a great many tunes. However, this can be overdone. I'll play a few that you frequently hear. Also, I want to take a moment again to thank Mr. Jamie Abersol for his tireless efforts in developing the jazz materials that make it possible for all of us to study, grow, and play this wonderful music. Thanks, Jamie, for letting me use all of your wonderful materials in my online lessons. The chord changes in Dizzy Gillespie's Algo Bueno provides an excellent venue for putting all of these concepts together. You can see why this is such a great tune when you look at the changes on the circle of fourths. This chain of altered 2/5s is always a challenge. Before I play Nuevo es Bueno with Dizzy's Algo Bueno changes, I would like to invite you to my website to check out some of the concepts I've presented today. These are all part of a special system I've developed for learning the language of jazz.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.